Up until recently, I was a lot like you. I did not think that homelessness could be fixed. But I also am one of those people that thinks that if you ponder hard enough, if you really sit back and look at the situation, you don't have to reinvent the system. You've got to make some corrections within the system to make it more efficient. So I've been sitting back and I've been looking at all of the different problems that are wrong with homelessness and, with the not-for-profits, with the people that give, with the government agencies, with the judicial branch, and how they attack and approach homelessness and how they are dealing with the problem. And I'm able to see a lot of the different flaws because, I've been chronically homeless for the last 25 years. It's much easier for me to be able to see the problems because I know what both sides of the fence look like. I've been over here and I've been over there, and when you have that bird's eye view, and that basic understanding, you can start looking at different ways in which you can fix homelessness, end homelessness, change it for generations to come. Because right now, as we go through an economic collapse, this is probably one of the greatest opportunities for us to be able to take homelessness and turn it from being a dirty word to turning it into it's just a temporary place in life, because we've got a system set up that if you follow it, that we've got the proper services in line if you follow it. But what are the proper services? What are the proper things that people need? How can we take a person that is newly homeless, comes out on the streets, and provide them with the proper safety nets? Okay, and everybody's different, so therefore it has to be uniquely tailored to that individual. But do we have the programs? Do we have the funding? Do we have the willpower? Now, what is the cause and effect of being able to catch a person as soon as they come into homelessness? Well, you're going to be able to get them off the streets quicker. The longer you're on the streets, the longer it takes to get off the streets. If you're on the streets for 6 months, it's going to take you probably will not be housed until you've been on the streets for 18 months. Once you've been on the streets for 18 months, it may be 3 to 5 years before you even get off the streets. And once you've been on the streets for more than 5 years, it's really, really hard for any individual to get off the streets, and if they are off the streets, to stay off the streets, because they've been institutionalized. They've been out there for so long. That is a failure of the system. We should not have long-term homelessness that lasts longer than 6 months. Okay, if we really want to offer proper solutions to this, and it's not about lazy, get a job, it's not about a drug addiction, it's not about mental health issues, it's not just about economics either. There's a lot of different things that actually play into the actual problems with homelessness. Okay, and so how do we as a community, as those of us that look at the homeless situation and go, we want to be part of the solution. I want to be the solution. Okay, well, if you want to be the solution, here's some ideas that I have that I think will actually fix homelessness, or at least move it in a positive trajectory, so that the proper the proper services and the proper infrastructure can be set up. Okay, and the first pillar starts with the individuals that are funding the homeless industrial complex, or that are directly funding the homeless. I think that, and this is going to be the first pillar in which I work on, and so you guys have heard me talk about during my live streams that I wanted to do a tour to end homelessness or something along those lines. Well, I have, as I've been coming up with the program and what it is that I think that I can do to affect the problem in a positive manner, what I have come to the conclusion is the corporate donors, the individual donors, the people who give money to homeless on the streets. It's not about saying don't give to the homeless. It's not about, oh, they're all a bunch of drug addicts. It's not about fear mongering. What I really want to do is I want to educate you on how to be able to effectively help the homeless, whether you're giving them a $20 bill or whether you're giving a $20 bill to a not-for-profit. How do you fund a not-for-profit? If you're going to the biggest problem in the homeless arena is the not-for-profits, because what they are doing is they are working on the lowest common denominator. The people who cannot be helped don't want to be helped, and should are just there's something else that we need to do with these people that's a lot more humane than what it is that we're doing. Okay, but it's industrial complex is working on servicing those people because they're return clients. So if I have a drug issue, well, I have a 95% failure rate if I go through a drug rehab program, which means I could go to that drug rehab program 7-8 different times. There are people out here that are so far in the white dope that when they want to take a break, what they do is they say, I'm going on vacation. They go check themselves into rehab. Once they've got a little while clean, then they come back out and they re-enter. They just kind of wanted to hit the pause button because they needed to take a break. And so for some of them, that's how they're taking a break. And how is that effectively helping the drug epidemic, especially dealing with fentanyl? How is this actually helping reduce the drug dependency here in America? And then we've got the doctors with the pharmaceuticals that are, creating a certain percentage of these addicts. We have trauma that is creating a certain percentage of these addicts. We have circumstances that are creating a certain percentage of addicts. And so therefore within the system itself is creating the problem so that they can throw money at the problem so that they can enrich themselves. So if you're going to go and donate to, let's say, a drug rehab program because you think all homeless are drug addicts, or you think that that's the biggest place where we need to do it, like if they didn't have drugs they would be productive citizens, and I'm sad to tell you that no, the drugs is just their excuse not to be productive citizens. A lot of them probably will not be very productive citizens moving forward. They may have to find menial jobs, flipping burgers, working in a warehouse or a factory, doing repetitive work, and that in itself is going to be hard for them. So it's more than just getting them off the drugs. But are you putting your money into it just to donate to one of the local ones that's in your area because you want to keep the money local, or are you going to take your money and are you going to start looking around and saying, hey, I want to be able to see your reports on your efficacy of your program. I want to know how many people you got coming in. I want to know how many people have relapsed after your program. I want to know what your actual success rate is. I want to know all these different things, because then when you start looking at 10 or 15 or 20 of them, you'll start seeing the ones, you'll see one that's really, really good, and then the rest of them, you'll see how they all fail. And why wouldn't you give your money to the one that's going to be the most effective, that's going to help in the drug epidemic that we're dealing with, especially with fentanyl? You're going to want to put your money into something like that. Okay, and so the first thing is we need to, as a community that wants to assist the homeless, we need to be more educated on how to be able to look at the ways in which we're helping, and to be able to do it in such a way that we're being effective in actually helping move this person out of homelessness. People will say, yes, I like being homeless, I'm homeless by choice and stuff like that, because all of the alternatives were much more miserable than homelessness. But if you offer them a much better alternative, or offer them some hope or something that allows them to function while still having, because some people just look at it and go, I work my ass off and I can't even pay rent, and I work 40 hours a week. Why do I even care? And so sometimes people just need a little bit of hope, a little bit of opportunity, things like that. But you're never gonna, unless, I think that this is one of those instances where unless you are aware of kind of, how you're affecting the community by your actions, whether you're donating or being aggressive, I think that you don't know what you don't know. And as somebody who's been a homeless individual, chronically homeless for the last 25 years, I think I have an authority to be able to talk about it, because I've had instances where I've gone in to get help from places like United Way. Oh, you don't have a drug addiction? Well, we can't help you. There's no services that are going to help you unless you have a drug addiction or a mental health issue. So you better go develop one of those two things and then come back and we can help you. This is what United Way told me. Okay, and and how much money do these guys get? These guys are tied to Grace Marketplace and everywhere else. It's all about putting money in their pockets, and we've got to stop putting money in their pockets and start being thoughtful about how we put this forward. And so I'm going to start building events within different cities as I travel along trail. They're going to be along trail in some way. It may be in a small city. Maybe I'll have an opportunity to improve their their economy, which, you know, we want to help out the small cities. Small cities are not doing well, and it's affecting them in the same way. You know, and it's destroying small cities, turning them into ghost towns. So if we can set up an event in a small city, and I can get a few sponsors that kind of want to help pay to set up the event, we can set this event up as maybe anywhere from like $1 a ticket to free tickets or whatever it is, just so that we have some sort of transaction of all the different people that we have, and then we can sit back and we can have a full-on discussion, an actual professional TED Talk style talk about how to be able to look at the different ways in which you want to assist the homeless system, okay, the homeless problem, and you want to help be the solution to the homeless crisis. But, you know, that's just the first pillar. Okay, the next pillar is, you know, it's not just the corporate donor and the small donors that are contributing to the homeless problem, and may not be doing it in an effective way, but it's also the government. The government needs to be able to have certain policy changes that need to happen. But until we start working on pillar one, which is educating the small and corporate donor, we're not going to really make a change and be able to put the pressure on the judicial and the governmental system, because the judicial system needs to be able to have a different way in which it deals with the homeless versus the way in which it deals with those that are in the house community, because both have different requirements and etiquette and so on and so forth that you've got to use. Okay, so you know, I think that the main three pillars that we've got to work on if we're going to actually change homelessness. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, follow along in this journey, be a part, even if you can't put money into it, even if you can't come to the events, just by your subscription and you're constantly watching this video gives me the necessary credibility and the necessary power to go to some of these organizations and say, listen to me. So even though you can't do it in, you know, financially, that's fine. You doing it as far as, you know, becoming a subscriber and watching the videos and keeping up with this journey on how we are able to educate and effectively change homelessness so that in the next couple of generations it will be fixed. So we've got to work on the donors, the small donor and the corporate donors. We've got to work on the governmental system, and then we've got to work on the judicial system. And if you really want to go really deep, you know, society itself has to look at the policies that are going on. But see, again, that goes back into the governmental policy. But we as a society have, you know, accepted certain things that we probably shouldn't be accepting, and we are working on an older line of thinking instead of a modern line of thinking, because things have changed. We don't have horses and buggies. We don't have an open country anymore, anything like that. We're in a condensed concrete jungles. We've got technology and urbanization and all that stuff. So that requires a whole different attitude from society. And I think that is another thing that we need to do, but that will happen through the other three pillars. But anyways, if you guys support this, there's a couple of ways that you can help. I'm supported through crowdfunding, which is either Patreon or YouTube memberships. I am also supported through my tip jar and the affiliate links that I have down below. Past that, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure to watch the videos and make sure to share the videos, because the greater reach that we have, the more education that we can give, the less spooky we make the homeless the homeless experience, the easier it's going to be for those that are like me that live out here to be able to at least have a menial existence with some dignity. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.